Good morning, everyone. How are you? I said I would not be a wandering Jew, and yet, as you can see, I am. Please God for the last time, or maybe next tomorrow and the next week should be a normal week. I keep saying that next week will be a normal week, but please God, it will be. Lovely to see everyone this morning. Lovely to see your good morning comments. I'm a bit under the weather, so I'm going to ask some advice from you. If you can put in the comments today any any cold remedies. I've tried honey and lemon. What cold remedies? I need to get fit and healthy quickly. Your rabbi is under the weather. What can you suggest to me to get rid of this horrible, nasty cold? Any remedies? Please, can you put them in the comments section? So today's learning is dedicated, as always, in memory of those that have passed away and their yahrzeit falls today, as well as those that we are in the year of saying Kaddish for. We wish their respective families long life and only smachot. Okay, here we have the first suggestion. Add some whiskey to the honey and lemon. I think the police would have an issue with that if I'm driving, Rachel, but I appreciate it. Need a quick fix to get rid of the cold and flu-like symptoms. Thank you very much. Okay, Mervyn, what a great idea. Wonderful. Okay, let's move on. The end of Parshas Noach is, of course, all about the Tower of Babel. Tower of Babel, in the aftermath of the flood, the people decided that they were living in one place, they would club together, and they would unify in building a tower where going up to the heavens, in which they thought, or they said, that they would be able to fight against God, in other words, believe in idolatry. And of course, their hopes were dashed when, of course, the tower was destroyed and the people were scattered over the course of the earth as a result of having different languages. This was the time when different languages came into being because God saw that they had misused the gift of speech. And the question is as follows, friends. You stop the car, then you drink the whiskey. Okay, I gotta tell you, if these are my friends, I cannot believe these are the helpful suggestions to get a rabbi better from a bad cold. Okay. Anyways, it goes like this. The question is as follows. If we were to imagine, do you remember what? I don't remember what year it was. Estelle will remember. Good morning, Estelle. What year was the Channel Tunnel built and completed? Okay, it's not relevant, but the point is as follows. Very often we have found over the course of our history, civilization's history, that different nations, different people with different languages have managed to unify around a common cause or goal. Consider the Channel Tunnel. Different languages, French and the Brits, and they managed to unify in building a Channel Tunnel and overcame the barriers that language created. Okay. Yes. Oh no, it's not COVID. So that's the question. So the question again is, why didn't the people at the time, even though God had mixed up and created different languages, why didn't they just unify around their common goal? Okay. 1994. Thank you, Mervyn. So the answer, I want to share a little story that Mordechai Kamenetsky tells. It's quite an amusing story. We've said it before. There was a teacher in a classroom, and he every year would give a test, and if you missed the test, the next test on the next day was always the same as the previous day. So the makeup test was the same as the actual test. So on the day of the test, the teacher gets a frantic phone call from 4 students, and they said that their car has broken down and they're not able to make the test because they got a puncture, right? The teacher can hear the sniggering in the background. He says, don't worry, you know the rule. Come to school tomorrow. and I'll give you the test. So the boys are very excited. They've got a day to be able to speak to their contemporaries, their friends in class, and find out what the questions were for the test. Anyways, they arrive at the classroom, and he says to each one, I have only one question that you need to answer. And that is, I want you to write down which tire was the puncture on the car. And of course, the boys had made up this story. It was all fake, it was all false, and therefore they had been found out. The answer to our conundrum that we started with, friends, is quite simple. You can unify, you can overcome language barriers, you can overcome diversity and different cultures and different backgrounds and different makeup of all different people if you are sincere, if there is honesty, if you genuinely want the same thing. But where it is that it is merely you're unified around something that's false, a marriage of convenience, where it's all about what I can get out of it, rather than really sincerely and genuinely working together for the common good, then it's not going to, you're not going to be able to sustain, you're not going to be able to overcome those obstacles. And therefore, when it came to the Tower of Babel, they couldn't manage to rebuild the tower because they'd been found out. It was because of their selfish self-interest that they had unified in the first place, and therefore there was no way that they could overcome that obstacle, and therefore the language stood in their way. And therefore there is a fundamental lesson for us all when it comes to unity. We have seen times in our history, times in world history, where unity has been something which has been admirable, something that has been an outstanding virtue, and we have achieved great things. You only have to think about the temple that we built going into the land of Israel. And even in 1948, they say there was great unity. 1967, great unity in Israel and the people of Israel in its wars, in its battles. And yet we know that there have been times in history where that unity has either dissipated or it has been misused and abused. You only have to look at the Nazis and the like to realize that it was full of falsehood, full of misconceptions, and therefore it did not survive for the long term. So our message and our lesson is that we have to make sure that our intentions, that our motivations, our aspirations and ideals are of the purest variety, so that when we do unify, it is for the right reasons, and thereby we will ensure that there is ultimately true unity, not just in our own community, but in the world at large. Wishing everyone well. Thank you for all your advice and tips. Take care. Have a great day.